So proud to be joined today by some of New York's hardest working small business owners and the stresses they've been through. And I want to acknowledge some of the people who've joined us here today, and I appreciate all of them for participating in this. Nelson Eusebio, founder and director of Collection Action to Protect Our Stores. Deborah Konensberger, the owner of a store in Nomad. Senator Jessica Scarcella-Spanton, the Senate, who can't be with us here, one of our sponsors, Assembly Member Manny De Los Santos from the Assembly. You'll be hearing from him. Also want to acknowledge Senator Brad Hoylman, who is tied up in committee right now, but had hoped to participate. County Executive Dan McCoy, Mayor Kathy Sheehan, District Attorney Mary Pat Donnelly, and our friends from the District Attorneys Association, friends from the Business Council, and our hardworking business owners. Yes, let's give yourselves a round of applause. If you run your own business, it's hard to get away on a Tuesday morning. Who's back running the shop, right? I know how that goes. My mother had a little shop, and it was she and I. If we weren't in the shop, it wasn't open. So we understand the stresses. But all these entrepreneurs made a point to be here today to lend their time and their voices because organized retail theft poses a real threat to their livelihoods. And as governor, I'm not going to stand by and watch brazen thieves wreak havoc in their shops and dismantle, destroy everything they've built. And I know how hard it is on their workers. Sleepless nights, stressing over the next encounter with these menacing criminals. And sometimes you're then stuck paying out-of-pocket expenses for the broken windows, the broken locks, replaced stolen items, and all the extra security. It's becoming a never-ending nightmare for business owners like Deborah Koningsberg, who you're going to hear from in a couple of minutes. And she'll speak to us what it's like owning 2 clothing shops in New York City's Nomad District. Now, over and over, she's seen thieves come in, scare her employees, and make off with literally hundreds of dollars worth of clothing all at once. She does her best to reassure her team and recoup her losses through a never-ending stream of insurance claims. You know, people like Deborah deserve better. They're the lifeblood of our communities. They're what gives it its charm, its vitality, its personality. And people represented by Deborah here all across the state of New York deserve to live and work in safety. And these incidents have become much more frequent. And as a result, there's been a pervasive unease just seeping through our communities. It's really unsettling when you walk into a store and see items that you thought you could purchase easily locked up behind glass windows. Or worse, you actually witness one of these sprees in person and not quite sure, are there weapons involved? Is there going to be harm to you and to the other customers? It's high stress. And people think, you know what? I'll just do it online. You know what that does to retail? It kills it. And we saw that during the pandemic when so many people turned out of necessity to purchasing online. But it is the downtown communities that benefit from having retail shops open, their doors wide open, welcoming walking people in the walking traffic. And so foot traffic dwindles when people go online, profits go down, people don't look at other items in the store, right? And some businesses just can't make it. And communities lose their identity and their vitality. This can no longer stand. It's time to go after the organized retail theft rings the same way we went after the gun traffickers and car thieves. Here's how we do it. We have a record of success. Launching specialized units, forming new partnerships, strengthening coordination between law enforcement agencies, and elevating the role of the state police. Now, doing this, we drove down the sky-high gun crime back to historic pre-pandemic levels, historically low pre-pandemic levels, and we used the same strategies to knock down car thefts in places like Rochester. We knocked it down 55%, down 45% in Buffalo in just a matter of months. Targeted strategies that work. But you know, we don't fight crime by just throwing everything at the wall and see what sticks. We do it with precision and purpose. We zero in on what works. And that's why in my fiscal year 2025 executive budget, I propose more than $25 million to establish a dedicated retail theft team within the New York State Police. This will fund over 100 new state police positions, investigators, troopers, crime analysts, all devoted to retail theft. We also included another $15 million to help prosecutors and police go after these criminals. Because many times these are transnational organized crime entities, operations, I'm proposing for the first time that we launch a joint operation between state, federal, and local law enforcement and going after these increasingly sophisticated multi-state retail rings. That's what this is all about. An intense focus on a persistent area of crime with regular collaboration and sharing of data all throughout the week. Now, in many cases, retail theft is no longer one person waiting for the right moment to snatch an item. It's much more sophisticated than that. You get multiple groups working together. Somebody distracts, someone's talking to someone at the counter, making sure your eyes are not on the people in the store. They have lookouts. They have getaway cars. They have planned escape routes. It's like Bonnie and Clyde all over again. I mean, these are very sophisticated. And they have access to fledgling illegal online marketplaces where they can quickly turn their ill-gotten gains into cash for themselves. They often go over state lines, county lines, making their crimes harder to investigate. And we want to break down these silos and have more interagency cooperation so jurisdictions and police can work together, find patterns, link crimes, infiltrate these networks, and build strong cases. We also want to protect these businesses. We're providing $5 million for a tax credit to small business owners to offset the cost of additional security measures like cameras. You know, life is already hard enough to run a successful business. As I mentioned, my mom opened a little flower shop. It was mostly her and I. I'd go in on a Saturday or Sunday and help her out. You know, she had to comb over every single expense. You know, we were just on the margins for such a long time. I don't know if she ever made any money, but she loved hiring women, just so you know. She wanted to hire women who needed jobs. But unanticipated costs, despite all your best planning, they can set you back. You know, they can also shut you down. We can't have that. We can't have that. That tears at the vitality of our state, the fabric of what binds us together. We have to make sure that we do something aggressively about this. And business owners should be reinvesting their profits into the business itself, not forking over thousands and thousands of dollars for extra security. Let's give them some help. And finally, let's strengthen our laws. I propose legislation that would increase criminal penalties for assaulting a retail worker. These individuals are very exposed, especially in a small shop with just one worker. They don't have any way to protect themselves. They're literally on the front line. And under this law, assaulting a retail worker would carry the same elevated penalties that we have in place for assaulting a first responder. Yeah! Retail theft has been long characterized as a petty crime, but calling it that makes it sound small and trivial. But ask me, let me ask the people behind me, do you think it's small when someone comes in and steals from you?
Absolutely not.
Let's ask their employees how they feel. So this description, even in our law, minimizes the impact that it has on all of you and your workers. And I'll tell you, more and more shoplifting incidences are turning violent. In fact, since the pandemic, shoplifting incidents involving physical force have more than doubled. More than doubled. So those who harm our retail workers must pay a steep price and a punishment that fits the crime. Yes. Yes. And we also want to make it harder to sell these stolen goods online. Yes. We have to break the pipeline of stolen goods and go after the middlemen, middlewomen perhaps, the third-party sellers that underlie the sharp surge in retail theft. Right now, as the law is written, there's a lot of incentive and very little risk for the middlemen, people that they can use to fence these stolen merchandise. These third parties typically resell items over the internet, but they never have those items in their possession, which makes it really hard to go after them. The law I'm proposing would change that, allowing prosecutors to hold them accountable if they know or should have known that the items were stolen. I'm asking my colleagues in the legislature to step up. This is who we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. This is an important fight to take on because the status quo, the lawlessness, the chaos that is going on in our stores, in our communities all over the state of New York, it must stop. So let's step up and do it. We have a plan. Yes. We can get this done.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Because they're counting on us. These individuals and thousands like them all across the state, they're counting on us. They're the lifeblood of our communities, and right now they're under siege. They should not be left alone to have to fight off these brash and organized criminal networks on their own. So I'm calling on the legislature to approve more than $40 million that law enforcement needs right now to crack down on retail theft.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, take up the legislation that we propose to strengthen criminal penalties for those who commit and enable retail theft. And as I said before, it's time to give the police and prosecutors the tools they need to go after these thieves, those who think they can break the law with impunity. It's time to take back our businesses and their workers and give them the full force of the law behind them. And it's time to restore the sense of security and peace of mind so they can focus on what they do best. Add that charm and that spice and that flavor to our communities and bring that vitality, which is so important. So thank all of you for being here today, joining this fight, making our voices loud and here, right here in the Capitol as we venture into the budget process, and I hope to get a successful conclusion at the end of that. So thank you, everyone. I want to, at this point, Nelson Asubio, the founder and director of the Collective Action to Protect Our Stores, is going to be delivering some remarks, and I can't wait to see what Nelson says. No.
Well, it won't be better than yours, Governor. I can guarantee you that, but we'll try. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for the opportunity to stand next to you today at the state capitol in support of retail stores, our employees, and the local communities we serve. Your leadership on the issue has been a beacon of hope, and we greatly appreciate your continued support on our fight against these prevalent issues. My name is Nelson Eusebio. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the National Supermarket Association, NSA, and previous New York City supermarket owner. Over the past several years, the NSA has been hearing from our memberships of the increasingly drastic impact of retail theft in their stores. We can no longer stand by and wait for a solution. Instead, the NSA decided to launch Collective Action to Protect Our Stores Coalition in January of 2023. In its effort to address the lack of enforcement and accountability of retail theft, particularly organized and repeated theft, which the governor talked about. Since we launched CAPS has grown, our partnerships represent a diverse group of stakeholders, including bodega owners who we have here today, merchants associations, chambers of commerce, business improvement districts, and local mom-and-pop retail stores throughout New York City and the state. Together, CAPS represents over 20,000 small, locally owned businesses that are affected by organized, correct, 20,000 locally small businesses that are affected by organized theft every single day. We thank Governor Hochul for placing this issue in our budget proposal with a well-thought-out 8-point plan. Not only has retail theft caused an estimated $4.4 billion loss in revenue, it threatens our employees, communities, and livelihood. Violence or threat of violence in these incidents has dramatically increased, 125% since 2017. Retail theft has also morphed into organized crime activity, with 30% of all New York City retail thefts perpetrated by the same 386 offenders. New York City has the largest increase of 64% in reported shoplifting incidents in the country. This is not a category we want to be number one in. The situation is alarming, and without proper accountability, these perpetrators in place, many stores have forced to shut down. It's critical for their policies in place to protect employees in stores and allow them to focus on customer service rather than security measures. That is why we are supportive of the governor's budget that include retail theft plan, which puts which put policies in its place to target repeat and violent offenders. Offers financial support through tax credits to small businesses, and dedicates resources to our store's policy and district attorneys. These policies will make a profound difference in dealing with retail theft that issues our stores, and most importantly, protect our employees and community members. Our coalition members are battling this issue on the ground daily. We appreciate the governor listening to those stakeholders as she pulled together a retail theft plan. The governor's plan, if enacted, will support and uplift business and protect our employees and communities, and provide law enforcement with dedicated resources and tools to do their job effectively. We strongly urge the state legislature to support the governor's plan and the bills in front of legislators dealing with this devastating issue. Again, thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you for standing here today, supporting your plan with your tireless effort in tracking retail theft, particularly repeat and violent retail theft. We look forward to continuing to work with the Hochul administration, the state legislature, to see that this plan finish the finish line. We'll be better protected, our employees and community members, if these bills are passed. Thank you, Governor Hochul. We can't say it enough. I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Deborah Koenigsberg, owner of the Vintage Boutique.
Good morning, Governor. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for all that you're doing to support small businesses. In September of this year, it will be 35 years since I opened my French boutique in Manhattan. And I have since opened a thrift store, and I run a charity for 30 years. And I have never in all my years of retail seen such brazen madness as we see now with these criminals, literally who walk into my store, go to the rack, they saunter in, they don't even rush, they're not afraid of anything. They walk up to the racks, they pick things that they want, and they walk out the door, and my employees, as I've told them, don't go after them, because we also never know who has a knife or who has a weapon. But to your point about petite crime, there is no such thing as a small crime to a small business. Every single thing that we sell, we need our sales in order to stay alive. We need this is how we make our profits. When they walk out with our profits, we can't pay our bills, then we run into backlogs of rent and so on, and then the struggle begins. Since COVID, we've all been struggling to get back into some kind of normalcy, and the theft situation has just made that so incredibly hard. I will say that my employees, as much as I've trained them, we are women working in a women's retail store. There are 5 of us, and they're nervous. They see some people walk in, and they immediately don't know what to do. Of course, safety first. But I think that the problem of theft, of all of this petty theft, has gone way out of control. And I think one of the problems, of course, was that, the police, they were handcuffed, and they couldn't do anything. So the criminals knew this, and so they did it more and more. So I cannot stress enough how important this bill is, that these get passed. We need the support as small businesses. I will also say that it's almost become a dare situation. I've seen small children from rich communities go into stores and dare each other about how much they can walk out of the store with. And this is just, it closes down stores, it darkens the lights in our neighborhoods, and it keeps us from doing business and keeping the neighborhoods vibrant. Small businesses are needed in all the communities, in all the states across this country, and we need the support, and we're grateful for yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I actually get to present to you New York State Assembly Member Manny de los Santos.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. We certainly didn't get here by ourselves. We have strong groups and coalitions that has been part of this movement to make New York State a better state. And today, I want to acknowledge some of our champions, United Bodega of America, who has been there since day one. Collective Action to Protect Our Store Coalition. I also want to appreciate and acknowledge the hard work of my colleague in the State Center, State Senator Jessica Scarlett, who has been a fearless champion, my colleague in the Assembly. But today, I want to thank our biggest champion, our biggest fighter, who has put the interests and the voices of everyday New Yorker, our Governor, Kathy Hochul.
Yeah.
Governor, we thank you today not only for taking the initiative, not only for protecting New Yorker, but also for putting our business first, for putting everyday New Yorkers first, for putting family first, for putting our children's life first, who depend on these small businesses. The small businesses are the backbone of our communities. They has been there for us. They were there when it was hard to be there. Yes. Our retail workers were there when it was tough to be there, when it was intimidated to be there, when it was hard to report to work and show up and provide to our community, to our city, to our state. They were there. So today, as Martin Luther King once said, we're doing the right thing. Because we know that it's never too late to do what's right. And we thank you for that, Governor Hochul. We thank you for that. Today we will send a message loud and clear. Loud and clear. That we're putting safety first. We're not asking for anything special. We're not asking for a special right. We're asking simply to be protected. Yes. We're simply asking for dignity. Yes. We're simply asking for respect. Yes. Retail workers should be considered essential workers. Yes. Yes. They should be considered essential workers. I know as a state, we can do better. We can do a lot better. I stay here proud, not only because of the hard work of all of you today, but I'm even prouder to have a governor who's fearless about making a difference. Not just for New York City, for the state of New York. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. 93% of our stores throughout the 5 boroughs were hit by shoplifting. 93%. The NYPD reported in 2022 over 23,000 robberies. 2,300 robberies. In 2022, that year didn't change. Similar. So I've asked all of you today, what's going to be different in 2024? What is going to be different in 2024? The time to act has come. New Yorkers can no longer wait. I am excited to work alongside with my colleague in the Assembly, in the Center, but I'm even prouder to have real champions stand next to me today. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Let's get this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That concludes our program.